Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 73. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you're all well, I hope you're having a good week. I am having a very productive day. I've had about 17 coffees, I've run a few errands, I've actually paid my bills on time, and I'm feeling quite smug. So yeah, I've had a good day. And I'm just sitting down to record now. I'm going on my holidays next week, so I need to record a couple in advance because I am determined not to fall off the Monday wagon, even though I do appreciate that it's Monday evening now. But never mind, Monday it still is. As always, thank you so much for all of your reviews. I'm very, very grateful every time somebody leaves me a review. I'm going to read this one out from Mary Emery, and it says, refreshingly authentic. I've just discovered this podcast and I love it. Sophie's presenting style is spot on. Great content delivered with humour and warmth. Thank you very much, Mary. That's very, very kind of you. And you have helped me to grow the audience of this pod. So very grateful. Thank you for that. So this week, I'm going to be talking about manifesting money, but not necessarily in the way that you might think. So I have been working hard on my money blocks over the last probably year or so, and a lot of them I didn't even realise I had, but I definitely have had them and still have them. So I've done things like opening the Vibe Tribe and doing a membership and things, which were massive jumps for me in that area because I have a block around charging money for any kind of service. So I'm very pleased with how far I've come so far, but I'm feeling a little bit stuck, and I was having a think about how I can move through this energetic set point of money that I make that's in my head and step it up so that I can just be a bougie bitch and be on fucking holiday all the time. So I'm going to share with you what I have been learning about and thinking about this week. Most people, regardless of who you are or what you do or how much money you earn or don't earn, have money blocks, and a lot of them are from our childhood, and it's very dependent on the kind of environment in regards to finances that we grew up in. So for me, I didn't grow up in a poor household, but I also didn't live in a rich household, and I lived in one where my mum worked full time, my dad had his own business, and I didn't feel like I wanted for anything in particular at all. I had a lovely childhood, I had lots of lovely experiences and things, but we didn't really talk about money. And if I ever asked my dad about how much things cost or how much it would be to, how much you earn or whatever it was that I was asking about when I was a kid, I was told, yes, I was told, Dad, if you're listening, that it was rude to ask about money. So I grew up with this fairly minor but still a limiting belief about how it was rude to discuss money. It was like distasteful. It was kind of something that to be a bit embarrassed about money in my head, and that's how that developed for me. And some people have limiting beliefs about not having enough when they were a child, so they'll be really obsessed with earning money and surviving and things like that. So it all depends on what your circumstances were when you were growing up in regards to money, and it is well worth doing a bit of a dig on that and asking yourself some questions about what your experience was with money in your earlier years. Now, because I didn't talk much about money, and I also didn't have to worry about money because my parents looked after me and I got everything I needed. I wasn't like a brat, I don't think, but I never had to worry about it. We went on holidays and things like that, and I had a very nice time. When I grew up, I had no money skills at all, and I went into a relationship with somebody who chased after money and was very conscious of money, and then I went into another relationship with somebody who did everything in regards to finances and organised everything, and I was really left there, not through anybody else's fault, just through circumstance, being fucking useless with money and not really knowing the value of it. And I'm talking like in my adult life, like in the last few years, not knowing how to manage it, not knowing how to save it or anything like that. I didn't have any skills around money. Thankfully, I also didn't have any feelings of lack in particular. I always kind of know it'll work out, but I'm really on a fucking wing and a prayer, I'm not gonna lie. So I wanted to work this year on my money blocks and being able to move into that next financial bracket, so to speak. I've talked a lot in this podcast about how I've had loads of different jobs, like I am literally Mr. Ben. I've had loads of different jobs and I've never felt fulfilled in them. I've never felt successful in them, and they just didn't suit me. And I've realised now, as an adult, very recently, that is because I'm not made like that. I'm not made to work in a job. I'm made to be self-employed. That's where I would be happiest. But I've never done that up until recently, and now I'm just kind of starting with that. And when I left my job, my very secure, stable job of a decent income when I was a teacher, I promised myself that I would not go into another employed job, because I knew that if I did that, I'd probably walk into a job where I earned 40 grand or 50 grand and I'd be stuck doing something that I really didn't like and that I was really capped at. So I'm in the middle of kind of moving from one career to another. So I'm in this like bit of a limbo state financially. I've got plenty of money to pay my bills. I have a nice life, but also I would like to make more. I'd like to be able to have more time off. I'd like to be able to travel more, have more experiences, go and visit people, do you know what I mean? So I'm focusing on that this year. And I think we've all got this idea that some way, depending on what your limiting belief is, that money is some kind of villain, that it's associated with somebody who's greedy or selfish or just generally not a very nice person. And that's absolutely not true. Some of the nicest people in the world are also the wealthiest. So we've got to work on getting rid of this idea that only bad people have money, because that is not true at all. And money is just energy. It never ends. It doesn't even really exist. It's just up in the air in numbers. And you having more money doesn't mean that somebody else will have less. In fact, it's the opposite. The best way to help people who are in poverty is to not join them, because what help are you there if you are also in that group? You have no power to help anybody else. If you become wealthy, then you have a lot more freedom and a lot more choice about how to use that money for good, including your own experiences of life, but also for helping other people. So money really does equal freedom, and that is something that I have come to learn fairly recently. So lots of people now who historically have not needed to are now needing to make more money other than just the job. There's people who are using food banks and things that have never ever struggled with money. There's people who are in massive debt because they can't pay their energy bills and all of this stuff. And although, I don't like subscribe to that kind of reality, and I'm always very much affirming that I am wealthy and that I can do things and that I can go away and that I can pay all my bills, and as a result I can. There is obviously people are struggling with money, and I'm very aware of that. Food prices and petrol prices are ridiculously high. I bought a tub of gravy granules the other day that was nearly £4, and I was fucking so taken aback. I nearly bagged it up and sold it on the corner of the street. And if you've not considered, at least once, you're telling me you've not considered selling foot pics on OnlyFans or other platforms are available, you're fucking lying to me, because you definitely have. So now people are looking more at ways to make money aside from just the job. And this is the perfect age that we're in at the minute, because there are so many ways to make money, additional income to what you already earn, without even leaving your home. So don't think that your income is fixed. The money that you earn or make or receive is fixed just because you're in a salary job. Last week on the pod, I was talking about the seasons of your life and embracing where you're at. And I mentioned like the hustle season. So if you are in a similar position to me, where you're moving from one career into another and you're kind of in that middle bit, that limbo, there will be a time where you need to, work hard and pursue things and not just sit there and wait for it to land on your lap. And also do some of that inner work on finding out what your limiting beliefs are around money and moving your energetic set points. And when I say that, that's something that Amanda Francis, an author who talks about a lot about manifesting money, uses. And she says that we've got this idea of how much we earn, and no matter what happens, we always end up with that money. We never go much below it and we never go much over it. So trying to move into that next bracket can be quite difficult if you've not done that work. So I really, really encourage you to do a bit of journaling around what ideas you hold about money. So I saw a TikTok video, right, this week when I was scrolling on TikTok, as I often am, particularly in the holidays. And I came across this guy and he was doing a TikTok challenge, which was he'd set himself the challenge of making 75 grand in 6 months, right? So he did it by doing this brainstorming activity, which I'll talk about later on. But he ended up making 71 grand. So not exactly the amount, but a fucking lot of money, like, much, much more than he would have done. So it got me thinking about all the different ways that I could make more money and that you could make more money. And I've been pretty much obsessed with that all week now. So I've been very much looking forward to recording this podcast because I think I've got some good ideas for you. And something that wealthy people have in common the vast majority of the time is that they have multiple streams of income. They don't earn the money from one job. So they might have a main sort of income or a main profession, but a lot of the times, most of the times, if somebody is very wealthy, they have more than one stream of income because they don't put their eggs all in one basket. And this, like I said, this is the perfect time because a lot of the ways that you can make money doesn't even require a whole lot of effort. It's not like you have to get 2 jobs. They're things that you can do that earn you money while you're asleep, or by getting rid of some of the stuff that you don't need. So there's loads of good ideas. And I saw this Netflix documentary on minimalism. And I've mentioned before that I like things quite plain, but I still think I've got loads of stuff in this house that I wanted to get rid of, including like loads of clothes and stuff. And then over the weekend, my family came over from Canada, and one of them, who actually lives over here now, but she's Canadian, and I'm totally telling you all this shit that you don't need to know now, but anyway, she was telling me that she'd started this business on Vinted, which is like, if you don't know, an app where you can sell like your clothes and other stuff, and she'd made like 1,200 quid in a couple of months from buying things from the charity shops and thrifting, she calls it. So I think that's an American term, thrifting, or a Canadian term. And selling them on Vinted. And she's made 1,200 quid in 2 months. And I think she said she'd sold about 175 items. And I was like, fuck me, I could do this. And I could be a minimalist. I could get rid of all the shit that I don't need in my house, get rid of all the clothes that I've bought, never worn, or worn once, get rid of some of the furniture, get rid of just stuff that's still really good, but I don't want anymore. So that got me thinking about this. So I'm in hustle season, and I've made this list of ideas of how me or you could make money. Now, these don't all apply to me, and they won't all apply to you, but hopefully this will give you an idea. So what I'm going to do is just talk about this list, which is quite fucking long. Now I'm just tapping through it, so bear with me. But here we go. Starting with selling your own clothes, or selling like clothes that you've bought from charity shops or thrifting or whatever you want to call it. I also have another friend, Dave, who I went to, when I told you I went into the prison working, like doing a workshop in there, well, that was part of this. And he teaches people how to make money on eBay by selling clothes on eBay. And I found it really interesting. And he actually, although he has multiple streams of income, including like working in prisons, he pays most of his bills through this eBay business. And I was like fascinated by that because I've never done anything like that before. It could be that you take on an additional role at work. So just as an example, I work in a school, but there are people who work in our aftercare club and also like in our morning club, and they do welfare lunch times and things like that. So there might be something that you could do still within the working day, but as an extra role at work, if that's something that you wanted to do. You could have a car boot, or it might be called a yard sale, depending on where you're from, like getting all your stuff out of your house and decluttering it and actually physically selling it at some kind of little market or on your driveway or wherever it is, just decluttering and getting rid of everything. One of my friends, Hayley, she's got a business making hanging baskets and flower pots as like a little side hustle that she does, and she really loves gardening, so she does that. You could also do things like mowing people's lawn and doing a bit of weeding. If you are, it could be that you're retired and you just really like gardening. Well, I can guarantee you there'll be 10 people on your street that fucking hate gardening and that would love you to do that for them for a price. When I tell you that, I have just nearly choked to death on a cup of coffee. I am not lying. Oh, sorry about that. Right, where were we? One of my friends, I can't breathe. I should edit this out, but I won't. So, one of my friends is training to be, she has trained to be a fitness. Oh, hang on. I'm joking again. I'm back. I've recovered. Right. So one of my friends is training to be a fitness instructor because she's lost a lot of weight. She's got really into fitness, loves going to this class that she does. So she decided to train to teach the class herself, and then she has to do it every week, and she also makes money off it. I've got another friend who does spray tanning. Some people like doing nails. In fact, I have got somebody for you to follow on Instagram. Everyday Lessons. If you live near me, she sells one-day courses on things like nails and spray tanning and hair extensions and all that kind of stuff, where you leave after a day or two with a qualification to go and do that as your business. So something like that's really easy to train in, and you can start straight away with probably not that much equipment. If you're into all that Wolf of Wall Street shit, you could do the crypto or the NFTs. I have literally no idea what either of those words mean, but I see it all the time. You could do coaching, whether that's like a football coach for kids, or it could be life coaching, it could be business coaching, whatever it is that you are good at, you can show somebody else how to do that. You could do affiliate marketing, you could do brand ambassador, where you get a commission off something that you really enjoy using. If you've got quite a big following on Instagram and things especially, you can make the most of that by doing things like being a brand ambassador or doing affiliate marketing. I used to sell art prints, so I like painting. I didn't have the time to paint every one, so I had some nice prints made and I used to sell them. You could do handmade art. Some people like things like crochet, anything crafty like that. Get it sorted. Get on Etsy. Get selling. You could do podcasting and advertising on podcasting once you get going, doing things like Patreon. You don't even have to have a podcast for that. You could do that on any skill. It's just like a paid platform where you can teach other people what you know. You could make digital products like journals and printables and things that you don't even touch. It's like drop shipping. So you just put it on there, design it, and you get a payment every time somebody buys one of these things. If you're good at designing, you could do like logo designs or brand designing. You could do tattoo designs. That's another one I keep seeing coming up on TikTok. You could do tutoring. You could do things like, if you've got posh cars, lots of people want to book them for things like proms and weddings, so you could do a bit of that on the side. If you have got somewhere that you live and that you're not always at, or somewhere like an extra property, you could do Airbnb. I know Francesca Rambo's got Law of Attraction Changed My Life podcast. She used to Airbnb her house in London and travel up and stay with the family, and she'd make enough money to like go on holidays and stuff out of that and pay a mortgage. You could do all sorts of like transcribing audio, like just jobs where you sit typing. That's just typing skills. There's some platforms, I think there's one called Fiverr, where you can put on whatever your service is and people can book you to do whatever it is. But your service might not be something like typing. It might be like reading tarot or doing Reiki or something like that. You can sell online courses. You can create things to sell online. Like, for example, I did like an art curriculum during lockdown because I was just absolutely whizzing my tits off on my ADHD medication because I just got it and I was stuck to my computer just being the most productive I've ever been in my life. And I made like a full art curriculum and things like that you could sell online, to other schools or whatever industry you're in, something that you've made for you that would be useful for other people. There's loads of platforms that do stuff like that. You could be a social media content creator, especially if you're like young and techie and you're into all of that stuff. People will pay you definitely to create like a month's worth of content for them because it's a big job, and especially if you're not used to that. But really, like for most, especially young people, and I'm generalizing a bit here, but social media is such second nature that you could piss that, you make it easily, whatever it was. You could do virtual PAing. There's a guy up the street that sells eggs and honey for an extortionate rate, and he's always sold out. So you could, if you've got like chickens and shit or a cow, you could sell the produce from it. If you are training to do a job but you're not yet qualified, you can usually do bank work. So like if you're a nurse, you can, at a certain point during your training, you can pick up shifts as an unqualified nurse. I did a bit of supply as an unqualified teacher, so there's ways to do that. You could be a delivery driver, like doing takeaways or parcels. You could do a bit of dog walking. You could sell your baking. If you're good at baking, you could do that, like making cakes and birthday cakes and cupcakes and all of that. Somebody I used to know used to pay for somebody to iron all of the shirts. So there'd be like 20 shirts in a bag and they'd pay them 20 quid or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but they'd pick them up from offices and charge them a certain amount. And those people were willing to pay that because they haven't got time to be ironing the shirts, but they need to be looking smart when they're in their office. You could do upcycling furniture. I fucking used to love that. I used to be always painting something. I've not done that for ages. You could make jewellery. I know that one of my friends, the one who's got the garden pots business now, she's very crafty, and she, for a couple of weddings, she made wedding stationery. Like, some people love making papery kind of crafts, so you could make the most of whatever skill or interest or hobby that you've got. You can start selling that and people will be interested and people will buy it. You don't need loads of qualifications to do everything. People are much more inclined, I think, these days to use smaller businesses because we're all kind of trying to support each other financially. There's a lot of talk about using like local businesses and things like that. So whatever your interest is, and the beauty of it is you don't have to do it full time. Like, you don't have to commit to like mowing 15 gardens a day. It could be, it's up to you, because if it's not your main income, this is just an add-on. So whatever it is just a bonus. So you get the freedom to decide when you're going to do it and how much of that. I feel like if I'd have been taught how to do that more when I was a child, I would have been fucking rolling in it now. Because that is the way that my mind works, but I'm only just getting to know that now. And a lot of kids who are in schools are not academic kids. They're not going to be particularly successful in jobs that school prepares you for. So if you've got something like ADHD or dyslexia or even autism, you're more naturally inclined to be creative or to do your own thing, to be a good entrepreneur. If you look at some of the most famous ones in the world, they would have all be considered to have like special needs, but they're not. It's just a different way of thinking. So if you have a child who maybe struggles with school, start giving them skills, start showing them how they can make money. And not even, not kids just with special needs at all, like all kids. I think it's great for them to know how to make money for themselves, because they're not going to be working in the same jobs that we are, or even, our parents were. It's a different world for them when they grow up. I know a little girl called Lola, and she sells things like personalised gifts. At one point, she was selling fidgets in the corner shop and taking a cut of the profit. She was washing cars, making beaded bracelets. There's some lads where I live at the minute who are going round, they've spent the summer holidays going round washing cars, and I love that. Like, they're charging about £6 or something and washing everybody's car and coining it in and working hard and learning this skill of making money, which is fantastic. If you've got kids that like horses, I know loads of kids are really into horses and they'd love to have a horse, and maybe they go to horse riding lessons. You could get them to, offer feeding services or grooming them or mucking out or doing something that they enjoy at a farm, but making a little bit of pocket money for them. You could obviously tell them get a paper round or do like a washing up job if they're a bit older. My nephew, no, he's not my nephew, he's my cousin, who also has ADHD. He's grown up now, but when he was at school, he used to be like a walking vending machine. So he'd always be selling chocolate bars and sweets and making a few quid. And my mum's friend's daughter, she loves reptiles. So with the help of her mum, she actually started like hosting her own kids' parties where she'd take some of the little critters and do a bit of a talk and let the kids have a look at them. And I thought, what a fucking great idea, because the school system, as much as I love working in a school, it does not prepare kids for life other than being unemployed. And a lot of those kids, when they grow up, are not going to be employed because they will struggle with it. So giving them skills, or showing them by doing it yourself, letting them be a part of whatever your little side hustle is. If you're selling something, maybe getting them to help you package it up and things, is a great way to do it. So what I would love for you to do, if you would, this week, and I'm going to do the same, I've already kind of done it, but I'm going to do it again as well, is to choose an amount that you would like. So that guy in the TikTok video, he did 75 grand in 6 months. Now, for my money blocks that I know that I have, my limiting beliefs, that is too much for me. And it might be too little for you. It depends on what you earn at the minute and what your beliefs are around money. So you could change it to something like 50 grand in 12 months, or you could do a shorter term one, like 500 quid in 2 weeks, or £1,000 in a month, or make it for a very specific amount that's like means something to you. So like a holiday or something that you want to buy. It's always easier to manifest money when you've got a very specific goal, and it's even better if that specific amount that you've chosen is for a purpose that you're looking forward to, not to just have it sitting in the bank. So for like an item that you want to buy or an experience that you want to have. So I've got an amount on my vision board, and it's a specific amount, like down to the pence. And I just chose it randomly. So I've got that on my vision board, and I'm just about to return to work in a couple of weeks for a new school year. No, I'm looking forward to it, really. I'm only joking. So I'm going to use this point as the start of my year, because that's obviously when my new salary will start. And I'm going to use that very specific amount that's on my vision board and include in that amount my salary, which accounts for the sum total of almost fuck all, by the way. And I've worked out what the difference is to make up that amount. So I've been brainstorming, and I'm going to continue to brainstorm how I can reach that additional amount to bring me to this total that's on my vision board. And remember, manifestation is just a word that is used to describe bringing your thoughts into 3D reality. So I've got a brew next to me here. I've manifested that brew because I had the thought, I want a brew. I made it. I'm sitting down now and I'm drinking it. So you can still receive money from a job or selling something, and that is still manifestation. I think a lot of people misinterpret that word and think that, you're not manifesting if something's not like appearing in a puff of smoke in front of you. And that can happen, definitely, and we'll love that. We'll love when that happens. But be open to also coming up with your own ideas as well. And while you are hustling towards your financial goal, what you'll find is other unexpected amounts of money will start making its way towards you, like, the puff of smoke kind, because you're in that receiving mode, you're open to bringing in that abundance. So it's great to work towards a goal practically, because you are putting yourself energetically open to receive even more of that. And also in the process, you might also find that you feel really purposeful about something that you've started doing and aligned with. A lot of people ask that question about finding your purpose, but never try anything new. So give it a whirl. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. Do something else, switch it up. It don't matter. Nobody gives a shit. You can just stop there and move on to something else. Don't be afraid to change something. That's absolutely fine. And even if you've got no intention of carrying out any of the ideas on your brainstorming, I'd really encourage you to still do it just for 5 minutes, because when you believe that your income is fixed and you're feeling skint, you're in a lack state. So you're worrying about money, you're stressing about it, you feel like you can't get any more, and that is a really low vibration, and you cannot bring something good in when you are in that state. So what you'll continue to attract is more feelings of being skint and not having enough, and more feelings of lack. If nothing else, just actually seeing those potential opportunities to make more money, even if you decide not to do them, puts you immediately in a higher frequency, because even if you don't actually take action on it, you know that there is a possibility for you to bring in more wealth and more abundance. And there's the chance to do it if you want to. So we're naturally then putting ourselves in the state of receiving, and we won't be attracting that lack, we'll be attracting more manifestations of money. So even without taking any action, just the act of actually brainstorming ideas will put you in a higher state to receive more abundance and more wealth. So I hope that you found this episode useful. And if you have, I would be so grateful if you would leave me a review. I can't tell you how grateful I would be, because every single one of them helps this podcast to grow. So if you've got a second for me, I would love you to head over to Apple Podcasts and leave me a review, even if you don't listen on there. That would be fabulous. And have an amazing week, and I will speak to you soon. See you later.